I stop. Ice what?
Whoa, whoa, baby, poke it out, poke it out, poke it out.
All right, boys, it's not Victory Tuesday. It is an L Tuesday. We took a loss yesterday to the Las Vegas Raiders, which was kind of concerning, but shouldn't be too mega concerning. As far as the Saints go, I think we still have a lot to look forward to. I still think there's a lot to clean up, and there's a lot we can improve at, and a lot of ways we can get better to prepare for the other games we have this season. We have not started out 2-0 since 2013, and we started out 1-1 in 2018 and 2019, where we went on to have 13-3 seasons. So it's nothing to really be concerned about. The way we lost was a bit worse than other years, but when you think about it logically, it is not that big of a deal. A loss is a loss. We got to take it on the chin and get ready for this week's matchup, which happens to be against the Green Bay Packers. And as you guys know, the first episode to this series we do every week is the New Orleans Saints versus blank matchups to watch. And this week we will be covering the Green Bay Packers. If you hear some screaming and kids being kids outside, my siblings have their friends over and I had to kick them out of the other room and make them go play on the trampoline. So if y'all hear anything, that's where it's coming from. But let's go ahead and get into this video and talk about these matchups that I have written down here. So the first one that I have is Marshon Lattimore versus, of course, Davante Adams. This is a big one. Davante Adams has been on an absolute tear this season so far. He's a scary player that we definitely need to be worried about, without a doubt in my mind whatsoever. So far this year, Davante Adams has had 17 receptions for 192 yards and 2 touchdowns. And this is with him missing half of a game against the Detroit Lions. So imagine what his stat sheet would look like if he didn't miss that game. He probably would have had 2 100-yard plus games. A majority of these stats obviously came from the Vikings game, where Davante Adams had to sit on the side, or didn't sit on the sideline at all, and played a full game. It's the only full game he's played this year. He was injured against the Detroit Lions, where he notched 156 yards and 2 touchdowns. Good God, 156 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's nothing at all to sneeze at. He also did this against a team, though, with no corners, that allowed 28 points to Phillip Rivers, who may be in a worse predicament than Drew Brees right now. We have Marshon Lattimore to go against Davante Adams, which can go either way at this point. Marshon Lattimore already held Mike Evans to 0 everything again, but he had a shaky game against the Raiders yesterday. I don't think that that's something to worry about long term, as Marshon only allowed 1 to 2 questionable plays, while everybody else pissed me off so much. So I think Marshon's the one bright spot on our defense yesterday, even though there were 2 plays that I was like, yo, really? But other than that, he played perfectly fine. The thing about Davante Adams, though, is that he is battling through a hamstring injury right now. That's what sidelined him versus Detroit. We don't know how bad it is. The Packers are downplaying it, obviously. They're saying that he's fine, he'll be back, it's not that big of a deal. They could be trying to smoke screen us, we don't know. Hamstring injuries are serious, though. They linger. That's something, if it's bad enough, the player will absolutely not play through. But they kept Davante Adams out against the Detroit Lions to make sure they didn't aggravate the hamstring more. They were going to put him back in, I've heard, if the score got close, but it didn't, so he stood out for the rest of the game. Either way, I don't think he'll be 100%, and I do think he'll have a pretty tough day against Marshon Lattimore. He will get his plays. He will do some things that are Davante Adams-like, but he will not have 156 yards and 2 touchdowns on Marshon Lattimore. Not even close. The next matchup I have to watch is Alvin Kumar versus the Green Bay Packers run defense. Alvin Kamara has been an absolute monster so far to start the season off, and has a pretty interesting assignment against the Green Bay Packers run defense this week. The Packers allowed 134 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns against the Minnesota Vikings on the ground last week, which would have been multiplied by 2 at least if the Vikings weren't playing catch-up, forcing Kirk Cousins to throw the ball all game after halftime. The Green Bay defense allowed 34 points to Minnesota, which is the same that we allowed to the Las Vegas Raiders, so I can't really even knock them like that. The Packers also allowed 89 rushing yards against the Lions, where Adrian Peterson was averaging 5.9 yards per carry, which is a big number before the Lions had to abandon the run game and play catch-up. We cannot allow ourselves to be in that position come Sunday night. We need to give the ball to Alvin Kumar, control the clock. We have to be the better team here on Sunday night, or we're not winning this game. Obviously, that obviously. But a lot of that goes with giving Alvin Kamara the rock and letting himself establish the run game. We have to do that. Alvin Kamara has totaled 95 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns over the past 2 games. And I know you guys may be asking, how is that monstrous? Well, I don't know how you wouldn't call 95 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns over the last 2 games monstrous. But if you don't believe that it is, Alvin has also had 146 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown over the past 2 games as well. He has 4 total touchdowns by Alvin Kamara in 8 quarters. The Packers' rush defense has a really tough assignment here, and if we can get that run game going, it will be a big, big part as to why we win this game if we do. Alvin Kamara versus the Green Bay Packers run defense. Watch that matchup, because that's one that will decide this game in a hurry. The next matchup we have to watch is Drew Brees versus the Green Bay Packers secondary. The Packers secondary hasn't been too good, allowing 110 yards on 6 receptions to Adam Thielen during week 1, and a total of 259 yards and 2 touchdowns by Kirk Cousins. He did throw a pick, though. They also allowed 244 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns to Matt Stafford, but managed to get a pick there as well. And even with Drew Brees being not the greatest quarterback at this current point in time, I do think the Saints offense is better than both Minnesota, who put up 11 points against the Chargers, and Detroit, who is Detroit. They suck, sadly, which they shouldn't, but they suck because Matt Patricia is a piece of garbage coach. They have allowed big plays in their secondary, but they have also made big plays in their secondary as well, getting 2 interceptions over the past 2 games. Drew Brees, on the other hand, has been coming out struggling pretty bad, putting up 472 passing yards and 3 touchdowns with 1 interception this season so far. The bad thing about this, though, is that about this seemingly okay stat line is that Drew Brees' completion percentage, which is a staggering 64.7, took a massive drop from last year and the year before, where he had a 74+% completion percentage. That is a really big deal. He has lost 10% completion percentage, and that is a big reason why this offense has not been flowing as well as it should. I'm just going to put it out there, though, the fact that Drew Brees did play without Mike Thomas on Monday Night Football. His favorite target, the number 1 wide receiver, the player that broke the all-time reception record in a single season last season, with 149 receptions. A big deal, a big player to lose. But we will probably have to play without him again on Sunday night. We are still unsure. The doctor said 2 to 4 weeks. We're not 100% sure he could come back. The Saints were really impressed with how fast he was recovering about a week ago. So we'll see how it is on the injury report this upcoming week. If Drew Brees can't play a good game and throw a few touchdowns, then we're going to lose 100%. This is why this is a really, really, really big matchup to watch. If the Packers allow Brees to find his rhythm, it's going to be extremely hard for them to win this game. If Brees can't find his rhythm, though, it'll be horrible for us. Seriously. An honorable mention here that I didn't put in here that I could have is Aaron Jones versus the New Orleans Saints rush defense. The New Orleans Saints rush defense, 44 game without a 100-yard rusher, has extended to 45, holding Josh Jacobs to 80 yards. So it'll be really interesting to see how Aaron Jones does against this run defense. He's been on a tear as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down in the comment section below what your matchups to watch are, and I'll see you boys in the next one. Adios.
Zero gravity falling in a hyperspeed. Watch me jump like I'm jumping on a trampoline.